Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening somewhere. Let's see how our sound is this morning. We just double check that. Yep, there it is. The sound sounds good. Spreadsheets up, dollar index. You can see we got two green dots there on the top bar, I guess you could say, or chart, top chart right here. We'll just emphasize it by making it even larger like that. You can see we're getting a little more buying in there for King Dollar. And you see the algorithm at the same time. The daily algorithm has jumped into the buy signal too at the same time there. You can see it there, right there, lifting. So it's guns a-blazing on the upside. And then we obviously see right here down at the bottom, there's no problem. The weekly's been in a weekly buy. So, we're seeing that strength. First thing I thought was, let's go take a look at the bonds, see what they're doing in the interest rates, because obviously they're buying dollars for one or two reasons or three reasons. First reason is obviously interest rates are higher here than they are there. That's part of it right there. And then the second reason obviously is, Mr. Trump is designing a growth policy. And so that means that, when you invest in the United States, you're going to get a pretty good return somewhere along the line, depending on what you invest in. But the odds are in your favor to obviously succeed. That's the whole idea with investing. The idea is to be invested in something that actually makes money. Not like the the quantitative easing situation where you have zero interest rates and you invest money and then you pay money. So you basically lose, which is really weird. And then, not the losing of money, the idea that there's a government bond out there that you buy that you actually pay interest for. I mean, that sounds like a scare tactic more than anything else. You're terrified that the world is coming to an end, and you're willing to park your money in a place that you hope to get like 98 or 99% of your money back. That's too weird for me. But anyway, as a options derivative trader for almost 50 years, I have my, well, it can't be 50 years because legal listed options have only been around since the middle of 75 going into 76. So it's 48 years there's been listed options, and I've been involved in them for about 46 years. So about 3 years later. 2.5 years later, something like that. Let's see, 76, 3 years later. And so what you see here is the dollar index, showing more and more strength. And let's take a look at the bonds, because that was the number one guess. It's like door number one, door number two, or door number three. And I'm thinking it's door number one, interest rates. But also I think it's door number two. I think it's a growth policy. That's pretty cool. I mean, if Mr. Trump gets the things that he's trying to get done, we're going to see a roaring 20s again. It's going to be explosive, a golden age. Pre-Woodrow Wilson, it's going to be fantastic, man. Fantastic. Let's see, there it is right there. There's the 30-year bond. And you can see there it's firm. It's got green dots going on, and let's just make the screen bigger. You see it popped on, I guess that's Tuesday now. Yeah, it popped on Tuesday and has kind of dropped. So remember, when it's going down, interest rates are rising. When it's going up, interest rates are dropping. Remember, the price of the bond is the opposite of the yield. I'll say that again. The price of the bond is the opposite of the amount of yield you get from it. In other words, what you get a return out of it. So in this case here, it's basically off the highs of Tuesday of 117.40, and the next day it dropped down to 116.09, and today it's trading at 116.62 with a low of 16.34. So it's more of interest, I would say, on the face of it. In other words, the simplest way of looking at it. You can see here it's telling us that they were going to start nibbling. But you can see here on the weekly, we're still in minuses across for a while. And you can see up on the spreadsheet, the classic. We've got the dollar index, in a weekly buy for 7 weeks, and it's was 2 days in a sell and jump. Now what's going on there? Let's go back to the dollar index because it shows to me 2 days in a buy, so I put it in the wrong spot. That's what happens. It's not. I have to do these things manually, and sometimes I get them end up putting them in the wrong spot. Let's go back to that bond again. Is that the bond? No, that's the dollar index. That's right. That's the dollar index. So let's put that dollar index up there. This is the second day, so it should be 1 there. This thing should be 1 right there. And let's see, we just go like that. 1 like that. And that should not be there. Let me check it on the other machine that we use most of the time. Let's just put the dollar index up on the screen for you at the same time. Right there. And then let's go over to here. Let's see, let's go to there. Window. And DXZ. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, so it's had a green and a red. Let me show you what I'm looking at here on the old platform that we're still using on some level. You see right there, it had a green and a red. It was in the plus, so we were set. So basically it's, take this line now and just go like that. There we are. So that's where that's at the moment. Remove. So we're seeing the dollar index trying to take off again, and the beta is just a little ahead of the curve. So that's not that bad. We have an explanation for it all because we've done so much research over the decades with this mathematics that we can explain in a simplistic way. So if anybody has an interest, we'll just ask and we'll explain it. All right, so from there, let's see, where was I at? I was looking at the dollar index, and you see it's turning up, and then you can see it on the beta, doing the same thing, turning up and showing the strength and the weekly buy, and then over here we're in that same situation in the weekly buy. You wouldn't take any of these sells, you would just take profits from the last move. That's about it. Or go neutral. Depends on what you're using the contracts for. Are you speculating? Are you hedging? Are you leaning against them in a hedging way, or neutral way, or you're preparing for purchases or preparing for sales, or there's a lot of different ways when you're trading currencies what they're up to, not just the idea of flipping in and out of them throughout the trading day. Someone's buying engines from Rolls-Royce from a different country, they need some British pounds. So they try to start buying British pounds because they know they are going to pay for those Rolls-Royce engines. And so forth. There's all kinds of wonderful mechanics. You want soybeans from Brazil? You're going to pay for them in Brazilian real. So you're out there trying to buy Brazilian real. Maybe sometimes they take delivery in other currencies, that type of thing. So it's a lot of different ways of the currencies moving around. If you have any questions about any of them, you're welcome to ask on the chat line, and we'll give you the skinny on it, let you know what it is. All right, now from there, we go back to, let's see, where are we going back to? Did I do all three? I did the bonds. I did the, since we're on the old platform, let's take a look at the best part of it all. Let's take a look at the stock indices. We rarely get into those stock indices until the end, but it's becoming obvious that door number 2 is the stock indices. In other words, thinking that, I can buy in America again. Things are looking really, really good. Remember inflation to a great extent has been eating profits. So in other words, you bought stocks went up during the big inflation, and at the same time earnings have gone up, stocks have gone up, and earnings have gone up, and inflation is going up. So it's been like you're taking money out of one pocket and putting it in another more than it is a flat out gain. But there's no doubt that assets have gone up. because of the inflation explosion on the planet. We've seen 40-year high inflation, historical inflation, that type of thing. So from there, let's jump over. And when I put the stock index up, you can see it's in a weekly buy for 3 weeks. So they've tried to take it down a little bit after this is the Trump rally right here. That move right there, they took it down a little bit, and now they're moving it back up again, and we're in a second day of a daily buy. Let's just grab this one instead. There we are. So we're seeing some strength in it that way. Also, at the same time, we're seeing equities starting to lift again. From there, let's go over and take a look at some of the pairs trades. So let's see what the euro is doing this morning. You see, euro is starting to feel a little pressure again. We're in that weekly sell in the euro against the dollar. You see we're pushing into the daily sell here as we speak. You see a red dot there. You see the histogram down below the zero line. And obviously the weekly's been in a sell. You can see it right there in the euro. 8 weeks now in a sell, 3 days in a buy, and flirting with the daily sell. And obviously, the one product we didn't, at door number 3, we didn't look at was the cryptos. They're exploding also. I mean, I'll just mention where Bitcoin Cash is at the moment, but we'll look at it later on. Unless anybody wants to see it now. Today's high is $98,308. Last trade is at $97,842, with a low today of $94,201. So the cryptos are lifting very fine. Mr. Powell, I know we've been, this is like the Powell hour, where we just point out the defects of our Federal Reserve. That's where I start to whine about the idea of maybe they should have a rule that says that they have to have a couple Swiss bankers in there just to keep those guys coherent at times. It's like the Democrat Party runs the Federal Reserve at this point. Something like 92% of the employees donate money to the Democrat Party. That's how upside down. Now, these people are basically have Marxist ideology, so that's not a good thing. It's no wonder we have all-time high inflation and so forth. But in the end result, it's the currencies are feeling the pressure of a king dollar again. And you can see here in the cable trying to do that same thing. Bust into the, we just got into 1 day of a daily buy. Let's see, just tighten it up so I can steal a green line from somewhere. Right there. There you go. Let's grab that one right there. And so jumped into the daily buy yesterday. And, or was it 2 days ago now? Maybe there. Let's double check that. Let's widen that out. We'll see if it's through there. Yep. So it's 2 days ago it went into the buy right there. And you had a green and a red, and you got this attempt to pop, and it did pop. But, now we're trying to roll over again. Stock market is acting very firm. It's one of the best mornings I've seen in a while. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 200 points. It's only a less than a 0.5% move, but, it's showing some strength in there. S&P 500's up a third of a percentage point, up 21 points. The NASDAQ is up a quarter percentage point, up 53. So we're seeing a lot of strength. And our weakest of indexes is up 2/3 of a percentage point. That's the Russell 2000. So money is coming back in. I guess in some ways, yesterday was NVDA. They had their earnings yesterday, and they outperformed, but they didn't outperform as big as people would like to see. I think that's what it really came down to. And so let me just take a look and see. Where is NVDA in the pre-market here? NVDA is trading basically about $1 off, nothing major. So it's still in its daily buy. And yeah, it's still there in the daily buy. And let's see if we can put it up on the screen here. Do we have it on this one? No, not there. Probably here. But NVDA, the mother of AI chips, I guess you could say. And in many ways, I'm hearing, philosophically, we're kind of starting to hit a wall when it comes to the NVDA. There is the Trump current stock right there, holding pretty firm in the 25-30 area. During election night, they had it up to almost its high of 55. They were like really reaching for it. You can see it's pushed itself into sell, but that's besides the point. Let's go find NVDA. Right there. Here's NVDA. And you can see it's tried to flirt yesterday with it had a green and a red. And you can see this morning it's higher than where they settled it last night in the market. And you can see it's been in that weekly buy now. It's on the spreadsheet. Where has it been? It's been a weekly buy for a while. Down at the bottom, it's the very last one, actually. 7 weeks in a weekly buy, 2 days in a daily buy. So it's NVDA is doing just fine. It's not exploding. I mean, some people say it's going to double in the next 3 years. It's already a $3 trillion company. It's the most expensive company now in the world, and the biggest company in the world. And they think it's going to double again, which it seems wild, especially as I'm seeing more computer scientists start to feel that AI is just one fantastic search engine, but not anything more than that. In other words, there's all this odd talk about AI taking over the world, and we're going to kind of be slaves to the computers or the machines or something like that. But if unless they can figure out how to generate their own electricity and so forth, they're just another tool. So in other words, they may be a power tool, but they need the human to basically keep it functioning. It eats electricity and energy, so and we cut it off, then it just sits there like a rock. So it's I guess there's a lot of soul searching going on here. In one way, it outperformed in earnings, and the world was watching for it. And other ways, we're seeing philosophically, or say theoretically, they're starting to be a little concerned that there's a limit to AI's success. Now, that doesn't stop it from being, a power source of information, like a fantastic encyclopedia, a great dictionary, but it'll make things better, faster, and so forth. That's good. But I don't think it's going to rule the world, and I don't think this company is going to double in the next 2 or 3 years to $6 trillion. I would think that there'll be more competition, and other chips will come in, and I think that it'll do fine. Though it's supposedly a brilliant leader and a brilliant chairman and a brilliant engineer running the place. So, but how that really rules the world, I don't see it. All right, so from there we go back to the currencies. We were just left off, I guess, at cable, and King Dollar is pushing and pushing, and then we go to Swiss. You see Swiss just sitting in this range now, and it's kind of sideways down. Remember, when it's going down, it's gaining against the dollar, and when it's going up, it's losing against the dollar. So you can see, we've been in a weekly buy now since back in here, and it's definitely higher here than it is there, which means it's been losing against the dollar. And you can see we've been in the daily buy since right here somewhere, I guess right there. And you can see this is this area here even there is definitely lower than here. This is higher, so it's losing that way too. Okay. From there, we march our way over to the yen. The yen jumped into the buy yesterday. I was like, ooh, cool. Very good. And then this morning, they're putting pressure on it again. Now, when the yen goes up, it's losing against the dollar. When it's going down, it's gaining against the dollar. So here you have the Swiss trying to gain against the dollar. You have the euro losing against the dollar. You have the cable losing against the dollar. And so, we're really stuck in a situation where the world is trying to figure out what this American, the engine to the train, the American economy, which will pull the rest of the world along, is going to do. And, it could be an incredible, if it's a new golden age in the United States, the world will benefit from it. It will not be penalized. And I can tell you, the next chart we go to is the Turkish lira. And I went and looked. I was looking at it today because, I was thinking, before the webinar started, I thought, they're just probably another day in a sell, which is good. The population of Turkey is benefiting from this. And I was thinking, it's in a weekly sell for 9 weeks now. And that's really wild, too, at the same time. And, we haven't seen that in 3.5 years. And then I thought to myself, 3.5 years. Trump lost the election, basically almost 4 years ago now. And so I was thinking to myself, ain't that interesting? So then I went back and I looked at the Turkish lira, and we're going to throw that up on the screen. Hey-ya, over here. And here is the great experiment. And here is, you can see when Trump was president, the product was trading in the 5s and the 6s, okay? The world economy was running along nicely. Aragon had damaged the currency as it was because it started at 1 and it was now trading at 5. It was like, it did hurt. He was definitely beating the economy up, but it was nowhere near as devastated. After Trump lost, this is during the Trump years, and then let's go take a look at the election. Here's the election, okay, and it was moving from the 7, 8 area. Aragon had driven it from 1 to 8. You walk into a store and you try to buy something, and 6 months ago you're putting out 3.5 or 4 of them for it, and now you're putting out 7, or you're putting out 8.5 or 9 of them. So things are like doubling, and you got to imagine going from 1 to 5. That's quadrupling, and fifth is whatever's a fifth of, 5 times more. So he really is burying the economy. And I'm thinking to myself, it wasn't bad though. The people in Turkey would have been happy if it just died at 9 or 8 or 7, So then you can see this massive move. Trump loses, and you can see that Biden now is going to be the president. You can see, good, it comes down from the 10-ish area down to the 9-ish area. Hooray, not bad. Helps the economy and the people. Falls down to the 8.5 area. And then what happens is that you can see here, Mr. Biden gets sworn in right around here. I guess it's like right around here. You see this first dip. He gets sworn in like right there. That's January 11th at this point. He gets sworn in around January 6th or 7th or something like that. And the next thing you know is, it's dipping down into February, looking good, 8.5. This is great. Every Turkish citizen in the world would be begging for it to be 8.5 today, and probably give up half a finger somewhere for it. And then Mr. Biden gets going along. He starts the inflation monster, and all of a sudden the currency goes from 8.5 to 10.5. So between Biden and former Prime Minister Aragon and now President Aragon, really damaging the currency somehow or another. And you can see here we go, the government is telling you you're nuts. You don't know what you're talking about. Here in the United States, The Treasury Secretary comes out, Mrs. Yellen. Powell comes out. It's transitory. Don't worry. Life is okay. We're all going to have a party. Biden says, it's just transitory. Don't worry. You got a whole year goes by. We've got the Turkish lira and Mr. Aragon with Jojo the monkey. Biden, the guy's been, he went and saw him. Classic Biden. He saw a palm tree a couple of days ago and walked behind it and forgot to make it into the G7 picture. He was standing behind a palm tree. He's a true monkey. And so then you can see here, they give out free puts. Turkish central bank says, you know what? You buy Turkish lira, we're going to give you free puts. And not to everybody, but to pretty much most people, for different circumstances. And so the currency goes from 20 and a half down to 21 over like a 3 or 4 day period. And then the policy starts to become clearer and all good towards the Biden inflation explosion. And then finally around here in April, they go, oh no, we've got inflation and it's not transitory and we're getting our heads handed to us. And so right around in here, you can see the Turkish lira leaps up to the 18s, heading for the 20s again. Those free puts seem to have lost their value. Maybe they're not paying them or doing something like that. You're seeing wild volatility. It's hanging out in the 18-19 area. And now we're starting to fight inflation. And Turkey's basically taking it right in the teeth with a baseball bat from it. I mean, they must be linked to the goofy man himself, the Jojo the monkey. And obviously Aragon is clueless what to do about it all because nobody else's currency has gone from 1 to 5 to 5 to 10 and 10 to 20 and then 20 to 40. I mean, only the old Soviets or Mr. Putin's op gang does that. They've gone, basically the same time period. They've gone from the 40s and the 50s to the high 30s and 40s to 100. So, I mean, both between Putin and Aragon, I think it's time to run. Like, guys, leave us alone, Don't wreck our world. And so you can see here, during the Biden years, it just gets worse and worse and worse. I mean, it just doesn't stop. And they're raising American interest rates. Inflation is flying through the roof. And then we get right to here. Look at this. Right before the election, we're seeing something right here now. This is up to date now, okay? And what my emphasis out of this whole story, Doc's story time, is that they started to anticipate, obviously, in Turkey and the world, that Mr. Trump was going to win again. And, they're thinking, hey, you know what? Back in the good old days when Trump was president, our currency was only 5 times more expensive. Maybe now it's 40 times more, or 36 times more expensive. So maybe we're going to come down and maybe we'll go see the 20s or something, 25, who knows. So I mean, we saw former Prime Minister / President Aragon come out the day after Trump won and said, "Oh, you know what? We could help negotiate for the hostages that are being held by Hamas." I was like, "Oh, what took you so long? It's over a year now." No more than like 4 weeks before that, before it looked like Trump was going to win, he was like, "We're going to attack Israel." Now, all of a sudden, he's mumbling ideas like, "I could help. I can talk to those Hamas people, and maybe they'll release the hostages." So there's obviously a connection between the Turkish lira and irresponsible government here in the United States versus responsible government in the United States. And you're seeing it. Last time we saw 9 weeks in a weekly sell in the Turkish lira was right after the Trumpy, was starting to leave office, and Biden had won the election, and it was in that time period right around there. So, obviously they were totally wrong. Of course, Turkey's currency went through the roof even more. It went from the 8s to 40. So, I mean, but it was a lot of wishful thinking, and, it obviously there was a point where the central bank thought they could burn more of the national reserve, I guess, to try to prop up their currency. But, here we are looking at 9 weeks in a weekly sell. Mr. Trump now is going to be the president. So, there seems to be a similarity there. And it doesn't seem to be, that far-fetched, Especially with Aragon screaming, I can do this, I can. I'm not going to bomb Israel now. I'm going to negotiate for their hostages for them to help them. It's like, well, obviously, there's an influence there. I mean, is he taking happy pills now? I have no idea. But, in the end result is that the currency is, it's not at 40 now. It's not at 38 or 39. It's trading in the low 30s. It's at 36. So, I always like to say hope is eternal, and maybe that's what we're seeing there. So I guess that's my riff of the day. It's like Turkish listeners and Turkish investors. There's some daylight coming around the corner. Your prime minister, president for life, seems to have taken some happy pills. I can find the hostages. I can help. Well, I thought 3 weeks ago you were going to bomb Israel. We were breaking diplomatic negotiations with them. We're dropping dropping trade with Israel. Blah 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 blah. What a wishy-washy guy. My God. No wonder the currency's all upside down. The economy's upside down. The guy's clueless. All right, a real political hack. All right, that's going to be the title today too. We're going to come up with it. Matter of fact, I think it's fresh in my little mind here. Let's put the title in there too. That's the title today. I can. I know I can. I know I can. It's like the little engine that could. Let's see. We're going there and putting it in. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's go put that in there. We will do that right now. There we are. And so I think today's title will be today's title. What do you think, fans? Today's title. Let's see. Today's title. Let's see. Turkish lira and TRY. How about that? Going like that. TRY Forex rallies on Trump. I think that's the way to best look at it. There we go. So, all right. Alrighty, ready. All right, that's all done. And that was fun. I like, laying out analogies and so forth. Let's see what we got here. All right, now let's go take a look at South African Rand, and there it is right there. And I want to say it's got a downwardly slope, that's for sure. It's trying. We're seeing gold show strength. Unfortunately, you can see here the histogram. It's trying to jump up. And we're still in a weekly buy. So that's usually pressure on the metals complex. So let's take a look at gold right there. And you can see gold looking fine. It's, maybe that's because, I don't know. Maybe it's because, what's his name? Joe Biden. He's trying to give Ukraine what ballistic missiles or something like that? I haven't. Yeah, he wants to. Joe Biden with the last 6 or 7 weeks of or 8 or 9 weeks. Let's see, where is it? Let's see, the 21st. Trump gets sworn in on January. So what we have is we have four plus weeks in December. So that's like 7 weeks. And then we got another week here. It's like 8 weeks. We got 8 weeks, and he's trying to escalate the war in Ukraine. He wants more death and destruction. That's what he wants. I think what it really comes down to, his advisors are telling him, we can win this war before Trump comes along so that we get credit for ending it. Let's give them missiles. Oh, my God. They're out of their minds. From there, we'll take a look at Silverado. And you can see silver's in the sell this morning. So the rest of the metal complex, silver, copper, and platinum, are all trying to, well, they're flat to up a little bit, or down, I guess you could say, trying to climb into the minus. And they're all in weekly sells except for gold. Let me go back to gold. That push up in gold, I don't really think it's pushing the weekly up yet. It looks firm, in the sense that the white histogram is above the manifold on the minus side, but the green line and the fast blue dashed line are still underneath the minus manifold. Either way, here we are Thursday, and there's not even a close resemblance of going into a weekly buy. But enormously short term, when you have the President of the United States offering ballistic missiles to Ukraine, people are going, are you out of your mind? People are like, who's running the White House at this point? No one can find Kamala. Miss Harris has roamed off somewhere. There was a picture of her like laying on a sofa with a bottle of alcohol on the floor. Joe won't answer the press whatsoever. They're screaming and yelling at him. He refuses to have any press conferences, and he fell out of the picture for the G7 altogether. He was behind. They found him behind a what do you call it? What's the one with the coconuts? Palm tree. So he was actually behind a palm tree, and he missed the picture. So he's not in the picture. So look at the G7 or G20, that picture that came out, in the last 48 hours, and he's not there. He was at the conference, but he's just not in the picture. And you can see they found another picture of him. When you expand the picture, there's a palm tree, and he's behind the palm trees hiding. I don't know what the hell he's doing. So that's where we are with that. Now let's take a look at copper. There is copper right there. And copper. Okay, so now copper is right on the edge. It's still in plus. You can see that right there. 0.0057. It's just plus by like a half a cent. And you can see the weekly is still in the sell like the other three metals, or the other two metals. And then we see the platinum right here. Platinum is also pushing into the sell like silver. And matter of fact, the weekly seems to be really trying to bury itself. The only turn is the fast at this point in the weekly signal. But we'll see by the end of the day. I don't even know where to start and where to end about these ballistic missiles they want to give to Ukraine. I mean, under the Biden and the Obama administration, all they gave them was blankets and food. And then Biden's answer to the 2021, I guess it was 21, going February 22, I guess it is. Was it February 20? February 22 to the Russians was don't. That was his whole answer to what do you think about the invasion expanding in Ukraine? Don't. Can you elaborate on that? Don't, Mr. President. Don't. So, we've been ruled for the last 4 years in this country by a conglomerate, I guess you could say, of politicians. And the president has been chopped down many times for saying something, and then literally minutes later they change and say, oh no, you misunderstood what he was saying. This is what he really meant. So the words were misunderstood, but I don't see how they were misunderstood. But when Joe says, I'm not giving you something, or don't, it means no. So, oh no, we can elaborate more. And then he wouldn't have a press conference. Would he go a year and a half without a press conference? Something like that. All right, so that's the metals complex. You can see that the pressure is on it on some level, minus gold, where gold is reaching for the stars, as usual, because, between Mr. Biden and Mr. Powell's inability to be a good central banker is making the world think, and Bitcoin, we can go back. Let's show you the Bitcoin now. I got it up on the other screen, really. It's a good time to show you the Bitcoin. You see the Bitcoin just lifting again even more. It's been in the buy throughout all these because it was green at that point. And so during those reds, it was in a buy, and it's in the weekly buy all that time there. So, and you can see it on, it's been in a buy for a while here. It doesn't seem to want to let go. Weekly buy. And the GTC, this is the ETF. That's 5 weeks. And, and here it's, the cash is 6 weeks. And I believe it's even further back. It's like 7 weeks. So, because our weekly only reflects 6 weeks, back, looking at it 6 weeks. I mean, it looks back, like 12 weeks, but it only shows you 6 weeks. So it's only showing you the 6 weeks that they're there. So, like next week, if it's in a weekly buy, it'll just show it'll be in 6 weeks again. That's why we have the spreadsheet to help out with that. All right, and so what else is there? Matter of fact, I probably should get rid of the GTC and just have the BT/USD, because that's definitely much more insightful. That's for sure. All right, now from there, we'll go over to the energy sector and see what they're doing in the energies. I did see oil and things like that were popping up. So, and I think we're on that screen now, aren't we? Yeah, we're on that screen anyway, so that's perfect. Let's take a look at Brent to start off with. It's been in a buy for a couple days. Right there. Give it a refresh, and there it is. And you can see here, 4 days in a buy. See it here. Same situation, and it's busting through the weekly with no problem. So we're seeing some strength kick into the energy sector. And I guess I heard Zelensky say that he was going to aim his ballistic missiles that he got from JoJo to refining areas and so forth. Refineries and production. He's going to try to bomb their oil sector. And then from there we'll go to Texas, West Texas Intermediate. And, both march along together. They both seem to hold the same price area. There it is right there. And let's refresh it with a little spinny sin. And here comes, this is December. Oh, you know what? I need to put in January oil at this point. It may be done. Is it still? Yeah, see, that's November 20th. Today's the 21st. So let me see. I think I might have it in there already. Let's go take a look and see. I know. Okay, so let's do this. So was that CLZ25 NYM? So let's do that. Add the product. Was it Shift CLF 25.NYM, and that is Jan oil crude. There we are. Create. Now let's see where she's at, and we'll turn it on. Oh, let's go like this. Go to users. Let's go to me. Where'd it go? Is it up top here? Right there. Okay. Access. And let's give Robin some access. Who else had it? That's a bigger question. Let me go see. Where's Robin? There's Robin. Right there. Access. And who else had it? Let me go see who else had it. While we're here, we'll do some house cleaning. Let's see. Who had it down here? Nobody. How about... No, we'll just let them contact us. All right. So now let me do this. I'm going to go down here and just get rid of it. The deck. It was just two of us that were in there to begin with. Okay, so that's not bad. Are we sure? Yes, we're sure. There we are. That's gone. Now let's look at the January contract right there. And there it is right there. You see it's doing that same thing. There's the 21st, the 20th, 19th, 18th. And that was Friday last week. So now we're going on to 4 solid days in a buy. Weekly's doing the same thing. It's leaping up. And from there we'll go to... What else do we go look at? We'll go look at the heating oil. We already have that set up into... I thought we had that set up in... I guess we don't. We have to move the heating oil. We'll do that. I'll do that after the webinar. You can see that. That's still updating. That has a couple more days in it. And so you can see 4 days in that in a buy. This is in the buy. You see all these energy products moving up. And then, boy, you should see the natural gas. Natural gas is really, really, really showing lots of strength. There it is right there. So you can see right there, what you got is, it's showing more strength, and it's jumping into the buy. It's been weeks upon weeks in a sell. How many weeks was it in a sell? Nat gas was 6 weeks in a sell. So that's turning up. I guess, we're having some cold weather here in North America, but I saw where prices, I was out on the West Coast, were pretty low. Not historic, but, yearly lows. And now we've got some cold stuff kicking up. It's starting to put some pressure on it, which is normal. It's not that abnormal. And we'll just, you just keep on waiting to see how they treat it. I mentioned this yesterday. I did see someone, part of the European Union, the energy secretary or something like that, said that they expect to start importing natural gas into Europe going into the end of January. So most of the last 2+ months of the cold season, you'll have American natural gas coming in at a much lower price, and crude oil too. They're going to be getting both. So. All right, and we'll slide over to Spain, see how the energy company's doing this morning. It seems to be reading. It's a really good tool. It seems to read what's going on very well. You can see it's still in the weekly sell with no problem, and it has firmed up, but the last 3 days we got green dots, but you can see here it's below the histogram, and we're in a weekly sell, so you can't take that longish or that bullish situation going on. This product has come down from September. It was in the 1434 area, and we've seen it drift all the way down to the 43 area, so it's almost down $2. It's a big move in a stock, and it's bounced back up into the high 12s, and now we're just hanging out at 1277. So Europe is feeling the benefit of more free markets and Trump's success, and people were, I guess obviously this company in particular was betting on it, and so they've been somehow knocking prices down, I guess. Let me see. Basically when the stock is going down, the company is earning less. So I guess they've been somehow or another, the investors. Stocks are a strange creature in many ways. It's not a big market in the world, but it's an important market. And stocks in particular always anticipate months ahead of time. A lot of times, not every time, but a good bulk of the time, 75-80% of the time, they anticipate the future by like weeks and months. So this company in particular was obviously anticipating that the world energy system is going to become lower priced again, and they were pushing it down. And I think we've seen that same thing with ExxonMobil here in the States. Let's give it a refresh. Yeah, it says all the way back in October, ExxonMobil was $125 a share, and it drifted down into the 113, like 114 area, and right now we're at the 120 yesterday. So it's been doing that same drift, pushing down. They produce, they do exploration and produce and manufacture. They do it all, ExxonMobil. So they're two of the seven sisters, where there were seven. They broke J.D. Rockefeller's oil company up, Standard Oil of America. They broke it up into seven companies, and that was, Exxon was one, Mobil was one. I think it was Texaco was another. Chevron. Was that other one that has the dinosaur as a symbol? I forget what the name of it is. I see it every so often. Sinclair. And who else was there? I'm not sure who. I got most of them there. Chevron. I forget who else was there. There was a few others in there. But they slowly have merged on some level. Like right now, Chevron is connected to British Petroleum. And they're owned by them now. And Mobil is owned or merged with Exxon. And Sinclair is still independent, I'd imagine. And Texaco was merged with, I want to say Mobil, maybe, at one point. So I think they were merged together a long time ago, like back in the 80s and 90s. So, we're slowly seeing, consolidations at times. But that is the energy sector right there. All right. Let's take a quick run around the world and see what's going on with let's say, like, take a look at China this morning. You have to assume that they really are going to, be kind of a confusing factor. 4 weeks in a buy still, and they're still holding up. I mean, I guess what they've done is they've stopped the slide. I guess that's what you can really say out of this whole situation. They stopped the slide. And let me just make this bigger. And so by stimulating, the product, the Shanghai, which is down over 50% from all-time highs, which was like 6,600, traded down to 2,689. So it was 4,000 points almost off its all-time high. And it hasn't seen the all-time high now in, 10, 15 years. So, yeah, they've been having their issues. And you can see they were really getting nervous, I guess, and they did the stimulus here. And then they thought, well, okay, they did a nice stimulus of 1.4. They need, about another 25 trillion more. They did 1.4 trillion, and we've talked about this over and over again here. And then this is right here is the Communist Party conference saying that they're going to do a 5-year plan. 5-year plan, and they're going to add another 1.4 trillion over the next 3 years or 5 years or something like that. And so it's just not enough. So I guess what you could say is that they've stopped the massive slide, and I imagine they'll bounce off of this area here, the low of 3,150 or 3,150 area, and I imagine they'll play around like this. You can see here it tried to take out the bottom there at 32.84, and it's lifting up a little bit. It can't seem to take out this high here. The hope and dreams of stimulating the economy are drifting, let's say. And I guess the bigger question is, do they take this high out first, or do they take out this low? And that's the big dance we're going to watch. We're going to try to figure out over time. But I would, unless they come up with some better policies, they're going to be taking this low out again, and they're going to be finding themselves down in here and underneath the 3,000 area. All right, let's shoot over to Hong Kong and see the old capitalist capital of the Pacific that's slowly being unwound, turned into a lapdog for Beijing. And there is Hong Kong right there. And the stimulus definitely gave it they jacked that up from the stimulus too. It came from the the 17,000 area, 16,964, and jacked it up to some of its highs. I'm not sure what the all-time high is. We'll take a look at it afterward. Matter of fact, let's just pause for a second. And you know what I can do is I can do that on another machine, I guess. Let me just do that. Let's go see what the all-time. I'll give you the verbal of it. Let's see what the all-time high is. Right there. And we'll see what that is. What is that symbol to? The symbol is, let's just go like that. The symbol is HSI. HSI. Okay. All right. Let's see what the all-time high of that product is. All right, here we go. And the answer to that question is, as it's loading, let's try it again. There we go. Being awful ornery. Okay, there we go. And the all-time high. Let's do this. There we go. It's like, let's see. Let's do 1 year first. It was down 103 last night. Let me check the chat line too. It's been a quiet day. Nobody yakking to me. No one asking questions. I must be like background noise and something like that. Loading, loading, loading. Come on. Let's do it this way. I'm tired of waiting. Let's go here. We're going to show it to you. There we are. Let's just kill this. And so here is 6 months. And that's like the high there was 22,849. Here is 1 year. The high there, same thing. That was the high. And let's see what 5 years looks like. 5 years, during the Trump years, it was as high as 31,000. So that's basically 30% off. And then let's see what the all-time was. Probably right there, right? That's the all-time high during the Trump years. Okay. So you would think that that will have a lot of pop to it. Look at it. High was 33,484. So, when we go back to the chart here, and here, it jumped up to about 23,000 when they thought that the Chinese government was going to stimulate their economy. And then when they found out it was just a sugar high more than anything else, it's already drifted down even lower, took out the low here, whereas the Shanghai hasn't done that. And it's hanging out in it's, see, 33,000 from 20,000. Basically, you're talking about almost like a 38% off the all-time highs. So, all right, exit. So that's where we stand. All right, traders, we will catch you all tomorrow, same time, same channel. This is Doc from North America saying, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. All right, traders, have a safe and smart trading day. And I'm going out with the DAX, which is still just a little firm this morning, but in a weekly sell. You can see it's having its problems, just like, let's see what the FTSE's doing. I think labor is really putting some strain on them, too, at the same time. And there is the FTSE. Well, it looks a little firm there for the last couple of days. That's not bad, but it's in a weekly sell. So, ta-ta.